Rural health care is like Arctic tundra. Once stepped on, it never returns. Research shows that minorities, the elderly, low-income people suffer the most when emergency rooms close. The most vulnerable, in other words. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask if Mr. Smith has a legislative report for us tonight.
I can have it in just a second. I'll pull it out. Mr. Pope covered most of it. I will comment on H3374. That's the legislation that actually did just pass out of the House on Thursday in regards to the local government fund. Before it passed, it was amended to provide that the local government fund will increase by the same percentage as the general fund, up to 5%. Before that amendment was proposed and added to the bill, the local government fund would have only increased at all if the general fund increased, I think it was 4%. So this did away with that, and the amendment also specified that the local government fund will increase up to 5% along with the increase of the general fund. That doesn't account if the general fund grew by 15 percentage points, we'd still only grow by 5 in the local government fund, but it's better than we had. I also want to add that this is a promise that our legislature makes to counties and to taxpayers, a statutory promise that they write and they pass and that they have done in the past, and when they get around to budget time, they don't fund it the way that they promised that they would. So I just want to make that clear. You know, if I was there, I don't know that I wouldn't just personally do away with this and do it all in the budget, but if they're going to make the promise, I think they should live up to it. That also kind of clears a path into the transfer of state roads. The legislature right now is talking about transferring state roads to the counties and having us maintain them. They say they'll pay for it, but they've made this promise and broken it time and time again, so how do we know what they'll do? That concludes any update at this time. Those were the two major ones this past week. Thank you.
And I would also like to welcome everyone tonight and thank you for your time tonight to come and sit and listen to what we have going on. And I'd also like to welcome Colonel Walter Larry Stewart, who is waiting the time to be totally certified by the state and then appointed by the Secretary of State. So welcome tonight. At this time, do we have any comments from council for council time? Ms. Kinley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Pope, may I ask Mr. Pope I would like some information on this new 911 program that we've received some emails about on the, is it live on 911 active? If you could maybe just give us a little summation about to define it.
Madam Chair and Council, Ms. Kinley, in summary, really what this program is a way of notifying our volunteers in one communication where all of the tones go out to everyone so they receive notification of that. There are others, we have some other surrounding counties that use this technology. However, we've had, and Mr. Anderson has actually had an update on the system itself. We are very interested in the system. However, one of the things that we have to do is to make sure that the system is consistent with some other SLED requirements that we have on systems here at the county. We have a system, the acronym for it is LASSO, which actually just basically means all of the reporting information, like from the NCIS reporting, where they do background checks and things like that. All of those systems have to be brought pretty much offline and kind of compartmentalized, where only the Sheriff's Department or people who are under his authority have access to that information. The way we have a lot of our information right now is integrated throughout the county, and E911 may have some of it, emergency services has some of it, and so one of the things that we're doing is to make sure that this system is compatible with what we presently do. So we've actually asked a representative from SLED to make sure that everything what's being offered here is compatible. And that would make it very simple for us if they would send us a letter saying, well, yes, it's compatible, but of course, we have not received that as of yet. So it's not as simple as saying that, well, we just want to go to this new system. We have to make sure it's integrated with our IT technology that we have, because clearly if you have infringement upon the law enforcement system, I mean, there could be some fines along with that. So we, Mr. Anderson has had a couple of meetings, I think, with that, because, you know, we've received some of those emails as well, because I think somehow or another the suggestion got out there that maybe we're opposed to the system. That's not the case at all. We just have to make sure that it works appropriately with the technology that we have.
The expense part to it.
I'm sorry?
The expense part to it.
Of course, that's always, but right now what we're looking at is from a public safety standpoint of whether or not it's a good thing for us, which clearly it would be the way it works in some other counties already have the system. But we have to make sure it's compatible with ours.
Do you have a guesstimate maybe of what it would be?
Well,
Or is the financial part substantial or not?
it is something that we could fund based upon what I know what the cost is now, if we don't have to actually compensate in some kind of different way to be able to do that. But, you know, the simplest thing would be is for us to get that kind of sign off from SLED saying that it is compatible with everything what you're already doing. But up until that time, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see when we get that information.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Smith?
I'd just like to comment on the Rockton Thruway situation as it was brought up tonight. Didn't want to belabor that point when we were not in council time. But I know the last time that I went to a CTC meeting in relation to the Jenkinsville sidewalk project, I was given a list of the roads to be paved this year. And again, those are chosen, selected, defined, whatever you want to say, by the CTC. We have no say-so in that whatsoever. But the one I received there, I believe, included Rockton Thruway. So if anybody has any information other than that, if you would please let me see that, bring that to my attention, and I will try to contact them and see why there might have been a change, or if I received old information or something. Also, Ms. Brown, if you would please record in the minutes that I voted nay on those two proposed bylaw changes, because I think only public officials should run public meetings, and I think that there are ways and mechanisms by which we could ensure that that could be made possible. Thank you.
What are they? Can you explain what they are? We can elect ourselves, or there's another way? What are those ways?
Well, I think, you know, this came to
Madam
us on
Chair.
Friday. Certainly, I'm sorry. This came to us on Friday, so we had just a few days between Friday and Monday to look at it, or at least that's when it came to me. So that doesn't give much time to look into other possibilities or to change anything. But I have been told and made aware that in other places that they do it where the old council would do that first meeting, where the new ones would get inaugurated, and then maybe the senior member that's left over would preside the meeting in which new chairman and vice chairman is selected. But again, we only had a few days between Friday and Monday. I think we should have took a little bit more time on that and looked into some other possibilities. Thank you.
I would be interested in learning more about that as you research that. I'll be interested in knowing how we can elect ourselves, but that sounds interesting.
Yes, sir.
Oh, someone else has something to say? Madam Chair, as a matter of fact, I have two things to say. I might just say one. We have had individuals come before council, getting exposed to the newspaper and the TV and attacking other elected officials and implying that they're criminals and crooks and they've stolen money and without that, this is all not within our purview. Public bodies that are duly elected by their constituencies, if they have an issue with them, and we have no jurisdiction over these bodies and whatnot, I think they should take it to their boards, and people will have the right to make a decision about what their complaints are. But to come here and degrade other elected officials, make accusations that's never substantiated, and make all kind of legal accusations, that's something we shouldn't tolerate. That's something that we should direct them to go to the proper authorities and air their complaints. But to stand here and get public campaigns and get public notice to degrade people, I think is wrong. And I think the council really need to take a step on that. I don't think the taxpayers sent me here to waste time about other people's personal vendettas and about bodies which we have no control over whatsoever. And as Mr. Robinson said in his prayer, if it's validated in terms of trust and respect of other people, that would certainly fall within his prayer today, if we respect all people and keep it within the proper protocol. And I don't think that we should allow people to come in here and degrade people, particularly when they can't validate what they're saying.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments tonight?
Madam Chair, if I'll make a motion that we do that, if I can get a second on it. If not, if the council agree that people can come here and do that, then I think this council will be totally out of control, but I'll make that as a motion that we not allow that.
Madam Chair, I will second simply for them to be able to discuss. Mr. Marshall, I had spoken to the chairman before the meeting a little bit. Last summer or fall, we had on the speaking times that it had to be something the council had priority over. And I really would like for us to think about going back to that. And I expressed this to the chairman that if it's not anything, like we have a lot of requests or complaints about water. We have absolutely nothing to do with water in this county. Those things, I agree with you, should go to the proper meetings for that, but not to council. But could I maybe ask you to, let's see if the chairman could put this in a committee for some discussion and bring something back to council, but not tonight. I think we just need some input from all of us on this. And I would withdraw my second if you would withdraw your motion so that we could put it in committee and bring it forward with a recommendation from the committee.
I'd certainly be willing to withdraw that motion, Ms. Kinley, and give the committee a chance to kind of air it out and see what's practical about that and see if they concur that whether or not we should assume the responsibility to let that kind of activity go on before council. I certainly will withdraw it, and if we can put it on our next agenda, for the committee to meet, we can put it on our next agenda perhaps.
Thank you. All right, that'll be taken into consideration. All right. Anything else on council time? If not, do I have an a motion to go into executive session for Fairfield Memorial Hospital confidentiality agreement, pending litigation with an update of DHEC, as well as potential litigation and economic development updates.
So moved, Madam Chair.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay. So